I just thought it might be worthwhile before we start me explaining. So Maddie is really the chair of this group, and while Film Otago Southland instigated the formation of it, we've kind of handed it over to the industry now to lead and collaborate together, and Maddie has generously put her hand up to organise the meetings and be the chair. So I'll kind of leave the chairing of the meeting up to her, but just wanted to explain how Film Otago Southland has been involved, and we, Anthony and myself, try to join in on all the meetings as well to see the discussion that's happening and where we can input and help. Anthony's been unwell with COVID amongst other things for a couple of weeks, so I don't think he'll be joining us today. But yeah, it's been really great to see the industry themselves coming together to help run this, and really grateful to the Film Commission for hopping on and giving us some information and answering some questions today. So I'll be here, but just wanted to give that bit of background setting so that Maddie can lead the way.
Great, thank you.
Cool, thanks, Kahli. Appreciate that. So maybe if we get started with just a quick intro from everyone as to where you are, what you do, and who you are, would be great. So I'll start, and then I'll flick it around as per where people are on my screen. So I'm Maddie Maxwell. I'm based in Oamaru, Waitaki district, and producer, and I do quite a bit of work on locations as well for the bigger stuff coming to our area. So Tess, would you like to introduce yourself?
Kia ora, everybody. Apologies for my lack of video. I am laid up with COVID, so I don't think any of you need to see me right now. I am based in Dunedin, Ōtepoti Dunedin, and I'm a producer. Jude and Dale met you guys a couple of years ago on the short film lab in Auckland, so lovely to see your faces again.
Kia ora. Nice to see you.
Great. Okay, we'll just flick around. So Jude, you'll probably get to introduce yourself possibly later, but you want to just quick hi, or yeah.
Oh, kia ora. You know, Jude coming from strangely sunny Wellington, like, what is this about when you need the shade to read? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if that's enough.
I
mean, I'll get to my, I guess, if you do an intro, I'll talk about my role later.
Yeah, great. That'd be perfect. Nia, we've got you joining us from the Film Commission too.
Kia ora koutou. Yes, my name is Nia, and I've been in the TD team for coming up for 18 months. So no doubt our paths will cross again, but yeah, come from the industry and have been, prior to that was working at loading docks and then on various large and small productions. So yeah, I'm inside the building now and about if you ever need to talk.
Great, thanks Nia. Meeting room, so Dale and Co.
And Prashant, you go.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Prashant. I'm the Talent Development Coordinator. Been here coming close to 9 months and hopefully more. But yeah, that's me. I've come from the industry and here I am with Dale and the team.
Cool. Kia ora koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, he mihi nui, he mihi mahana. Kia koutou katoa, ko Dale Glad tōku ingoa. So my name is Dale, I head up the talent development team here at Tumu Whakātātaonga at the Film Commission, and I've been here about 7 years, and yeah, we'll talk more about the Film Commission and our different roles in a moment, but lovely to see you all, and thank you for the invite to join your hui today. Kia ora.
Andrew.
Hi, I'm Andrew Beattie. I'm a producer and a writer. Yeah, I've been in the film industry in various incarnations my whole life. I worked at Weta for a really long time. Left after Lord of the Rings. And yeah, I've made a few feature films and I'm developing a couple of TV series, one with Sky Prime. And yeah, I have a feature film in pretty well developed at the moment, so pretty advanced. Yeah, and I'm moving to Oamaru late June. Yeah, so my partner's bought a cafe, so yeah, I'm going to be living down there now. And just I say my business partners in Wellington, and but we're gonna look, I can write from anywhere, and COVID's taught us that we can work from anywhere as well. So,
we know where to come for a coffee.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. I'll let you all know. Yeah.
Yes. Looking forward to know which cafe it is that you bought.
Oh, it's the Harbour Street Cafe, Collective Cafe.
Oh, great.
In the old Whitestone, sort of in the Victorian Street place. It's absolutely massive. It's got a children's playground, which is random and crazy. It's huge and it's daunting. So yeah, this is happening. So
love it.
Also, I don't know where we're living, so if anyone has any leads, let me know. We really don't know where we're going to be living. My partner's in Canada at the moment, so it's interesting. So yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
Okay, that's me.
Yeah, great. Kahli, you're next on my list.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Kahli Scott. I am the Film Office Coordinator for Queenstown Lakes District Council and also help to run Film Otago Southland with Anthony. So I'm dialing in from also sunny Queenstown, where we had beautiful dusting of snow on the mountains. It's not even a dusting, actually. It's quite a bit of snow on the mountains over the weekend. So winter is coming. Good to be here with you all.
Nice.
Thanks, Kahli. Elinor, welcome.
Kia ora koutou. I'm Elinor. I just moved back to Arrowtown last August, but I was here in my high school and university years, went to University of Otago. Screenwriter and author. I'm working on a couple of optioned projects, a UK television series and a US period drama, but I'm also starting to get into gear a Kiwi short. So anybody who wants a coffee, and you're in the Queenstown area, I will shout you at Provisions.
Okay, fine.
Oh, excellent, Elinor. Penny.
Did you say me? Sorry, my internet
Penny,
connection
yes,
just
Penny.
been a bit unstable. Sorry.
Yes, Penny. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. Hi, all. Kia ora. Hi, I'm Penny Hunt. I'm a writer and a director. I'm based in Kopatai, Port Chalmers. And I'm working on my first feature film at the moment and a little TV series also based here in Dunedin called Dogtown. So nice to see you all. Nice to see you, Jude and Dale.
Lovely to see you too, Penny.
Right. Thanks, Penny. Karen.
Hi, I'm Karen Triblecock. I live in Dunedin. I'm a writer. I write novels under the pen name Eloise, for people who know me from that part. Great to see you, Andrew. You doing the group. And great to see you, Jude, because we were talking recently too. So great.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Karen. Jamie.
Hi guys, sorry that was a bit poor of me. Thanks, Maddie. Kia ora, everybody. I'm from Exposure Talent and Model Agency, just trying to learn more about the industry and how it works. And like some of you guys, I'm working remotely, currently sitting in Perth, which is not sunny. Unfortunately, it's stormy with lightning around, so one of those nasty days. But thank you for having me on board. I'm really just here to listen and find out what's happening in the area so I can keep up to date and hopefully get some people on your films and TV series and the wonderful creations that you're making. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you. Ange at NZFC.
Kia ora. Hi, I'm Ange, also from the talent development team. Been with the commission for just about 5 years now. Sadly, it's coming to an end in July. I moved back to Ireland, so still with you here for another month or so. We'll introduce our roles properly later. It's lovely to be here and meet you all this morning.
Great. Thanks, Ange. Dan, hello again. Oh, you're still muted, Dan. That's better.
Is that better?
Yep, that's better.
Great. My name's Dan. I've been in Dunedin for about 18 months. I've gotten involved here, I guess, in sort of some casting and been helping with teaching some screen acting skills to some of the actors that are interested in that. In Australia, I was predominantly doing a lot of acting, but I've always been involved in my own sort of projects and other people's projects. Here in Dunedin, I sort of just doing some creative stuff as well as the training and a little bit of producing. That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, next, Stefan.
Yeah, kia ora, everyone. I'm Stefan. I'm also based.
Oh, having an internet issue.
Frozen bits.
Frozen at the moment. Stefan, are you coming back to us?
Dunedin, and I'm working with Penny on a couple of. Hello?
Yep.
Can you hear me again?
Yes, you're back.
So where did it stop?
right at the beginning, Stefan.
So I have to do my whole spiel again.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, kia ora, I'm Stefan. I'm also based in Port Chalmers, Dunedin, and I'm working on a couple of projects with Penny Hunt. And nice to see you again, Dale and Jude.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Great. Excellent, Stefan. We got that this time. Cool. Whitney.
Hi guys, sorry I was a bit late. My name is Whitney. I'm based in Wanaka. I'm mostly working on documentaries, writing and directing and editing, but also I'm working on screenplays as well.
Great. Thank you, Whitney. Great. And then Patrick. Just checking. I don't think I've got another page. That's everybody. Patrick, hi.
Kia ora. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
You can.
You can. Great. Sorry. Kia ora, everybody. My name is Patrick Gillies. Obviously, I'm beaming in from not so sunny Invercargill. Apologies that I can't put up my camera. I don't have a webcam, and if I attempt to activate a camera, it's just going to hook into a classroom surveillance camera, which will look a bit weird. So I won't subject you to that curious sight. And I am a practitioner and educator based in Invercargill.
Great. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so I think that is everybody introduced. We have apologies from Rebecca Rowe, Sue Marshall, and David Hay. And that's all the ones. Did anyone else hold of anyone? Obviously Anthony, he's still unwell. So I'll pop Anthony down there too. Okay, and if I shouldn't keel over, but I actually tested positive for COVID this morning, so I'm not feeling 100%, but I should be able to keep on track for the rest of the afternoon with luck.
Please.
Okay. Yeah. Right, so I think we should throw it over to the Film Commission for the outline and presentation. And Dale, were you going to go first, or
yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, I mean, we're really here to have a conversation and to answer any questions about what we do. But we thought what we might do is, and we haven't got a formal presentation, but we thought we might just give you an overview of what the Film Commission Talent Development Department does. You know, what our main focus is. And then obviously introduce everyone. So you've already met the team, but they might be able to just speak to their specific role within the talent development area of work to start off with. And then Prashanth and I will stay on the call. The others have to dial off, but we'll stay on and we can answer any questions about the department and the work and how you get involved and how you get some support from us. If that sounds all right, does that sound like a plan? Thumbs up? Yeah. So to start off with, once again, thanks for the invite. It's really useful for us to connect with filmmakers around the country in any way we can. So we'd love to do this in person at some point in the near future, but this is a great alternative at the moment for us. So talent development from a New Zealand Film Commission perspective. As a department, it's been around about 8 years, just a little bit longer than Jude and I. We joined about 7 years ago or so. And just before that, the CEO at the time kind of formally removed talent development or progression of people, I guess, and their skills and craft out of the development and production area and created a department of its own. That was a recognition that maybe the two weren't always working well together. Sometimes people needed more support to develop their skills and craft outside of production, and also that it was good to put a dedicated focus on the skills and craft development. So our aim as a talent development department is to identify, support, connect, and then progress screen talent. Mainly writer, director, producers is who we work with. We also work with actors or the acting community to help support the development of actors as well where we can. But generally it's the writer, director, and the producer is our main focus. And they're at the heart of, as we all know, the creation of IP, of content, which is what our main business is as a film commission. So we're trying to identify, connect, and support people. And ultimately, our reason for being is the progression of those people from where they are to where they're trying to get to, whether it's on a project specifically or whether it's more in their career. We've got two main objectives. One is that progression pathway for diverse, exceptional, unique voices to be supported in that progression. And more recently, we've got another objective, which is around the screen sector organisations and the resilience of the sector. Obviously, post-COVID, it's about building some resilience or helping support the sector recover from not just the pandemic itself, but actually these outside forces that sometimes affect our industry. And ultimately, the goal of the Film Commission itself is to support talent to make exceptional stories for here and abroad. So as enduring taonga, as we define it. So the stories that you've got to tell, we are interested in you on your own journey, your personal journey, your professional journey, and supporting you to make the content that you want to make. And that's where we tie in with the overall objective of the Film Commission. So we work with new, emerging, mid-career and established talent. We'll work with everyone in the talent development area. We, in the last few years, have probably worked less with the newbies, so those first 2 or 3 years in the industry, and we've moved the dial into the more emerging and mid-career space, recognising there's a lot of challenges for those people to progress in the sector. And we offer a number of different funds, and we'll talk to those in a moment. But generally, we're looking at that progression. How can we help progress individuals or groups of people from where they are to where they're trying to get to? The three main ways we do that in a talent development department is we help people make stuff, so predominantly short films, but also development of interactive content. We've got an industry development program that we support the guilds and industry organisations and some training providers to deliver programs to help the industry develop. And then the third area is about on-the-job development, or the progression of people through in-work opportunities. So that could be internships, it could be attachments, it could be mentorships, it could be professional placements in companies. So those are the three kind of areas we work in: making content, supporting people to make stuff, industry development, wider sector development, and then on-the-job development. So that's kind of an overview of what we do as a department. There's generally, over the years, 7 years, we've had somewhere between 3 and 5 people in the department, depending on the funding we have available and the programs we're running. And we often team up with other organisations to deliver our programs. So, you know, we might team up with Script to Screen to deliver some programs. We might team up with regional film officers to do some programs on the ground in different regions. We might team up with workforce development companies that are doing skills and crafts programs. You know, so we'll team up with different organisations, different teams to deliver programs as we develop them. So that's kind of a bit of an overview. I wonder if we want to just jump around the room in terms of the Film Commission people. So maybe jumping to Jude and then Nia and Ange, just to talk about the area of work that they work in, which are across those 3 areas. So over to you, Jude.
Kia ora. Sorry, I just had to move because that was the most strict posture I think I've had in my life, and I was just about to be blinded. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I got, oh no, I'm not on mute, great. So my role, I've got a slightly unusual title called Talent Pathways Manager. and that is to do with the support of filmmakers progressing from short form to long form. And we use those words quite deliberately because we want to be screen agnostic, and also we, talent progresses across, it's more like a web than a pathway. And there's a lot of things that filmmakers need to kind of do in order to progress their career, and we try and support them in all of those areas. And Dale sort of outlined, the making stuff. So for me, I'm across fresh shorts. I'm one of the reader assessors in the funding panel. I'm also across Catalyst as what we call a recommendation panel read. So that's before it gets to the secondary funding panel. I also work with all of those filmmakers in terms of supporting them as they go into their productions, along with Shan. We'll talk a little bit about his, he's that kind of logistics support in the office. But I support the filmmakers along with Dale in terms of script feedback, just general, how we're going to make this for this money sort of support, and also working with them as they deliver their film and they're going out to festivals, and trying to match them sometimes with mentoring support along the way. I'm also involved with on-the-job development, which is across internships, the internships and attachments. So an internship is really for an emerging level person, and someone in mid-career we call an attachment, just for, I can't remember what reason, but that's what we do. And then we have placements, which are generally for producers, and they're inside a company, and that gives a producer a really great opportunity to see how someone else might develop their company and their projects. And it's been quite an invaluable asset to the development process and developing people. We also have run in the last several years, to do with the COVID capability funding, we've run an online mentorship program, and we've kind of focused that more around the writing role, because it's something that's often missing for writers, is to get that support and when they're just learning to develop a feature. So we've focused it at emerging and mid-career writers, but what we've found, it's been really successful for both, from the feedback from the mentors and the mentees. They've all said, this really works for us, can you do more of it? And so we've taken that learning, and we're now applying that in our on-the-job development area as well. So that's another thing that we can do, is help people match with a mentor and progress that way as well. We are also, as the sort of general overview, you hear about strategic training funding, but that we've got a lot of funds where as a team, we're often involved in not necessarily the administration of it, but actually just supporting those trainings. As an example, I've just been in Auckland with the emerging producer intensive, which I believe Rebecca Rowe was meant to be on, but sadly, I think some COVID action happened in the background somewhere, which meant she couldn't attend. But there's all sorts of opportunities, and you'll hear about our support to get to festivals and, post-production for short films, all of that stuff. Script to Screen are our partner with Fresh Shorts, just to kind of do a little, that will be, the next round is in sort of, it's like July, August. We don't have an exact date, but there's a person in Script to Screen that's the facilitator or the manager. That role is specifically to support filmmakers and answer questions and to help them if they haven't got a producer or whatever it is. So feel free to, access that particular organisation and that role in order to get, some questions answered. But also in our team, we can answer questions before that, and with Catalyst too. And that's one of the things I'd really encourage you all to do. If you're coming in for an application, whatever it may be, if it's to do with our team, please always contact us if you're unsure, you've read the guidelines, they're not quite making sense. Always come and have a chat with us. We really want to help you in your application. Like, we are actually wanting to help you succeed in an application. The challenge of applications, as many of you know, is that there's a lot of people going for them and not everybody can get the lolly. So that is very, very challenging and quite difficult. We do also do a lot of career development. Well, I certainly do, and I know Dale does. Lots of chats on career development. I am training as a coach at the moment. That's another sort of, element, string to my bow to support people. I've got a qualification in career development. It's a personal interest of mine. It's kind of a passion. So I really enjoy helping people to find their own individual pathway as well, because it's as different as you are, I would say. So that's a key thing. Have I missed anything, team?
No, I don't think so. It's a pretty good overview. Thank you.
Cool.
Jumping to Nia.
Am I signing off now, Dale?
You can sign off. You can sign off and go back to your reading.
Lovely to meet you all. And I just as I sign off, I just really want to acknowledge the organisations that have come together to make this happen. One of the things that we do see is that when there's that community support, there's a real sort of growth to the progression of the people. We see that with our industry organisations like PASC and PISA. So I'm really, really happy, and I'm so sorry that I can't stay longer, unfortunate, but this is awesome. That's what I want to say. Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so much, Jude.
Thanks, Jude.
Thanks, Jude.
Kia ora koutou anō. So as I mentioned before, I have been part of the TD team for 18 months. My job came about as a result of COVID. So I was brought in to do the COVID capability funding within the TD team. Sorry, just checking I'm not yelling into my microphone. And I came from, as I said, loading docks, and before that I worked at WIFT, and I've worked in various things in places around and large and small productions in the industry. I have a special personal interest in documentary, having just made a documentary and have it on TVNZ at the moment. But my job when I started was to look after the COVID Capability Fund. So that's working with the guilds, industry organisations on getting them organisational support and training support throughout that really challenging time we've all just been through. As we've gone along, that funding is now coming to an end, and I've picked up a few little things on the way as the way in our team. And I'm currently over the gender scholarship, which is open at the moment, and that in case you've got anyone you would like to recommend to check out that online, it's on the website. And that is with the patrons Ainsley Gardner and Desiree Armstrong, and it's a scholarship that is a grant of money and mentoring for this year on wahine Māori looking to produce drama. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in applying for that and might not know about it yet, please get in touch with me or have a look on the website. It's also been shared on Facebook. So welcome any connections to that if you know of anyone. Other things that I've started to pick up with the wise and sagacious Ange Senior leaving, I'm starting to do a few of the talent grants. So I'm coming along and learning on what she's done, and so I'll be taking those over next month, end of next month, and a few other special projects. And I just wanted to also mention that in our team, there's a very high proportion of us who've been working on the diversity and inclusion strategy and plan within the Film Commission. And that's kind of a sign, I think, of how people focused we are, and how we're looking to really connect with people and have people connect to the Film Commission. So I am, as I said, available to get in touch with if you have any questions, and if I can't help you, I'll put you in touch with the right person.
Thank you, Nia.
I'm also going to jump out, I'm afraid.
Ka pai.
Thank you so much. Lovely to see you all. I'll look you up when I come down, especially for that coffee in Queenstown. See you later.
Great. And over to Ange.
Kia ora. How's it going? I'm Ange. As mentioned, I'm here for another month or so. And I've been looking to work in the talent team for the last 5 or so years. My background prior to that is I worked in the Irish screen industry as a script supervisor for about a decade, and then moved over here. So I'm across a couple of areas of our work. I've kind of been across most of the stuff we do, because as mentioned by Jude, our team has grown and shrunk at different times. But my main area of focus over the last while has been industry development support, or the funds that we have for industry around the core funding, strategic training funding for those industry guilds and organisations, and some training organisations as well. And with that, so the core fund is, we provide core funding for various organisations. It's about to open up again for the next financial year, and strategic training again for the next financial year. So we're busy enough getting ready for that at the moment. Primarily those funds are open for organisations that are focused on above the line roles, as has been mentioned, writers, directors, producers and actors, where the kind of focus of our funding tends to go, and the support those organisations need, either to run their organisation or to run training. And then we have a focus around diversity and inclusion organisations as well. So we would support PASC, PISA, WIFT, and well, Ngā Whakaare is now supported through the Te Tirotaki Māori funds. The other area of work that I'm across is our professional development grants. So anything from somebody who might want to attend a workshop or go to a lab, or labs that are at different film festivals, anything that really can help them with a professional development opportunity. Often, well, actually now we're reopening our travel grants to international festivals as well. Obviously they were closed for the last couple of years. So we've got quite a few requests for some international travel, which is exciting to see that people are getting those opportunities again, and getting to attend those labs if there are any of those happening at the festivals, that they will be going with their short film. So that's focused on filmmakers where their short film has gotten into an international festival. We have a list of kind of our recommended short film festivals that lives on our website. So if somebody gets a short film into one of those festivals, it kind of gives them the eligibility to apply. It is a contestable fund, and sometimes we do get quite high demand for certain times of the year, and it also runs out at a certain point before the end of the financial year, unfortunately. Then we have post-production grants as well, which I'm across. Again, it's linked to that festival, the international film festivals. So it's often a filmmaker may need some additional support to finish their film and complete it for delivery to that festival. So it might be DCP creation, it might be getting a new sound mix, anything like that. And yeah, I'm also one of the, interactive development, that's another one. So we have a small fund for research and development for interactive projects, whether it's games, AR or VR. Runs once a year. And that is the main area of my work. Also a member of the D&I committee, and hopefully not too far off, our strategy has now been signed off by the board, and hopefully it will be launched soon for everybody to see the plans that are in motion for the Film Commission for the next few years. I think that's probably most of my area.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ange. Thank you. And over to Shan to talk about his role.
I'm going to sign off. I'm off to do some assessment readings. So lovely to.
Thanks, Ange.
As you can tell, we're all off to do that. It's lovely to see you all.
Reading.
Thanks.
Kia ora, everyone. As mentioned earlier, my name is Prashant. I go by Shan at the Film Commission or anything. So my role is that I serve as the Talent Development Coordinator. We've just started, not just started, 9 months ago. And my main role is to really help manage the workflow of the department. And in most cases, I'm the first point of contact. So any inquiries come, you feel free to email me, get in touch with me. And I'm constantly in touch with filmmakers from all sorts of levels. And I'll put them through to the respected team member within the team or the wider organization if needed. I also am across the different funds from a logistic point of view. So I oversee the contracts and I'll be chasing up on milestones and all of that. So any questions regarding that, I'm the person you can definitely talk to, and I'll have the relevant information across the different funds. If something's out of my scope, obviously the team is there. But yeah, generally that's me. I try to help organize. Help organize the team from every angle.
Absolutely. And finally, I just thought it would be worth mentioning that we've got a set of principles as a TD team that are similar across the building, but we've specifically kind of highlighted them, I guess, for us as a team, that they're important. So we have 9 principles that we work to, and I'll just run through them at the moment because I think it gives you a sense of, as I think Nia mentioned before, we really do take our responsibility seriously in terms of our relationship with filmmakers that we work with and everyone that gets in touch. So these nine principles start with Te Tiriti or Waitangi. So we've got a commitment to working with a genuine partnership with Māori, which obviously aligns with our Te Rautaki Māori strategy here at the Film Commission. We take a well-being approach or kaupapa to the way in which we approach our interactions with people. So we're focusing on the well-being of ourselves, of our team, and also the individuals we're working with and the teams we're working with, the filmmaking teams. Diversity and inclusion for us is a really important filter. It's a really important cultural and inclusion filter that we use with all our interactions with our work and our filmmakers. And linked to that, I guess, is the next one, which is a holistic approach. So taking a holistic approach to the way we work with people. So we recognize that people's lives, all aspects of their lives contribute to who they are and the stories they tell and the stories they want to tell. So that can sometimes manifest its way into the way in which we might approach a meeting about, an awkward meeting about not having funding or not being able to support people there and then. We try and take a holistic approach to that, to recognize that person or those people coming in aren't going to be in the greatest space when they walk in that room or come onto that Zoom call. So how can we mitigate that? How can we make it easier for people to benefit from this engagement and not make it an adverse kind of experience for them? As you've heard before, we are very developmental in our approach, so that's obviously at the core of what we're doing. We're trying to be developmental and support people through a developmental process and support them to find their pathway in the sector if they haven't already, or change their pathway if they need to. Obviously, as a Crown entity, where we can, we are as transparent and clear as possible in terms of our processes and why we do things the way we do them, how decisions are made, all of that kind of stuff. The final 3 are really around our role as people to help connect you. So one is around connections. We spend a lot of time, and Jude in her on-the-job area really spends a lot of time trying to connect the right people up to help you progress. But we also do a lot of support of events or industry programs and things to try and connect the talent up out there in the sector and encourage them to develop their own methodology, their own kaupapa out there. We also have a principle which is we try to be more than the money. So we only have a finite amount of money, of course, and in talent development over the last 7 years, it really is a fluctuating budget. So at times we've had just on about $2 million, which sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but when you break it down into short films, industry development programs and core funding, and then individual bespoke support, it doesn't go very far. So we try and offer other ways we can support people, and that is in the connection space, it's in the knowledge transfer space, it's in the opportunities that we might be aware of that you're not aware of space. So getting that information out there, I think that's really important. And our final principle is really about face-to-face. We really value the face-to-face connection with talent. So that's why we have always seen ourselves as a department as the kind of the more accessible or the softer end of the Film Commission in a way. We're at a lot of events, or we try to get to a lot of events, recognising the last 2 years haven't been that easy. But up until then, really trying to support events, be there on the ground so we can meet people on a level that's accessible to them and have a meaningful engagement and connection with them. So that's kind of our principles. Happy to share those, happy to send those through if you want them. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. It's taken a little bit longer than I thought, so apologies for that. But just really keen to answer any questions or, guide you in any way we can. We've got Shan and I, the rest of them are off reading. I'm going to have to do that reading later tonight, but that's okay. I'm hoping if they get the majority of it done, I don't need to do it. No, I still need to have a read at some point. But yeah, over to the floor. Over to you, Maddie, and the floor.
Just having a look to see if anyone's got questions, or if anyone wants to just unmute themselves and come on and ask a question. Yeah, Elinor.
Hi, I have somewhat of a specific question. The short that I'm working on, I am talking to one of the participants at the WIFT Emerging Producers Program about whether she wants to work with me on this short. And we're looking at funding, so we're both independently evaluating. I have applied or submitted the short to the Short Film Otago, and they said they would have a board meeting on Wednesday, and I hope to hear back about whether it's gone through to the next round or whatever that might be. We have looked at Catalyst and we've looked at Fresh Shorts, and the specific question I have is, I'm not sure which one we should apply to. The producer I'm talking to has a fair amount of experience under her belt, especially in documentary. I am not a director. This would be my first time directing, but I have directed plays, in the theater. And we are, already, putting together all of the components in terms of logistical things. And I looked at Fresh Shorts and I just wondered whether we were sort of above the experience threshold for that. Because I noticed there would be, the 6 weeks of mentoring. And if we wanted to film it next year, that we wouldn't be able to submit it to Show Me Shorts because we would be, beyond the threshold. So it's just asking for advice on which one it would work for.
That's a very good question, Elinor, and it's a common question we get. So Fresh and Catalyst, the two short film funds we have, Fresh is a $15,000 grant and Catalyst is a $90,000 grant plus $10,000 for a feature or long form content to be developed alongside it or, in relation to it. And Fresh is very much about new and emerging level, and Catalyst is about emerging and mid-career. So in that middle space, that emerging space, you get the crossover. And we recognise there's quite a difference. I mean, most people would want to come in for a Catalyst level grant because a $90,000 grant, who wouldn't benefit from having that? And most shorts, what we find, most shorts aren't being made for less than maybe 20 grand at the moment. So a Fresh short at the moment, on average, probably 20, 25 grand is probably pretty accurate, sometimes a lot higher, sometimes up to 50 grand. So they're raising a lot of additional money on top of our grant of 15,000, whether that's crowdfunding or other forms of philanthropy and other foundations and things. So what I would say to you is, and it's a general note I give everyone, is and we get this a lot. You're a writer. You've written other forms. You're moving into screen, or you're writing screenplays in a different thing, or you're working in documentary, going into drama. But if you haven't, say you're coming in for a Catalyst as a director, the bar is very high, because really what they're looking for at that level, and I sit on that decision-making process. You're looking for that calling card short for that director's voice that's going to land at that A-list festival, hopefully, and open the doors for a feature film or long form, maybe television series. And so they're really looking for that authorship of a director's voice. If you haven't directed screen content before, but you've done theatre, we obviously recognise that. And then some people are really experienced in theatre. The transition isn't always as smooth as sometimes, but it certainly can happen. I've done it myself. But if there's no previous content on screen as a director, it's hard for that panel to really assess. So what I suggest is, if you are at the right level to meet the eligibility criteria, but you maybe don't have the reel to prove it, to show the content, then is there a way of you shooting something between now and when you come in for the funding, even if it's not a full short, but it shows your ability on screen to work with actors, to elicit really amazing performance and get a sense of tone and theme within your cinematography. and you've got your short script and you've got other content, you've got your plays and things like that, then you're kind of bridging that gap for the reader in their mind. Otherwise, and I don't think you should think of Fresh as only for newbies, because we do get a lot of emerging people in there, and we certainly get more experienced producers in that space who are interested in bringing on the next generation of writers and directors. So we're always looking for more experienced producers at every level. But it sounds like you'd be eligible for both. So, I mean, the other option is you put in and you give it a shot. I mean, you know, it does cost you time and effort. It takes a lot of effort. But even the process of applying can sometimes be useful in terms of getting your plans together as a team, working out your strategies, all of that kind of stuff. The one piece of advice to anyone applying for any of our funding, certainly in the talent development area, is don't hide your homework. If you've got an area of deficiency you think as a team, or an area that you don't think you're as up to the level on, then highlight it and try and mitigate it in the readers' minds by, we're going to have a mentor, we've got this EP, I've got a directing mentor locally that I'm working with at the moment, you know, whatever it may be. That will help tell the story to that reader to go, okay, I think they've got their head screwed on. They're not completely, you know, off the rails here. They've certainly got a plan, at least. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. Yeah. And quick follow-on question. Let's say, you know, on a gutsy thing, we decide, okay, we'd like to film this early February next year and submit to Show Me Shorts, which I think the regular deadline is May the 1st. Is the Fresh Shorts mentoring, I mean, that from what I read, that would take place in March. Do you see what I mean? So I'm worried that...
I think you're, and no disrespect to Show Me Shorts, but I think you're focusing on the wrong outcome for a short. Like what we tend to focus on, depending on what your aspirations are for your short, of course, and NZFC and Show Me Shorts are two really good local festivals to play. But actually, for a short to be a calling card, if that's what you want it to be, you really want it to play internationally first and then come back to play locally. That really does get you more bang for your buck, if you like. So if you can get into a decent international festival, depending on the genre of your short, it may be that from our list, it may not. It may be on other genre lists and things like that. But if you can play at a significant festival internationally, it really does drive interest into you as talent, as a team. So we really recommend, unless the timing, sometimes it can be quite a long time before you're going to find out about a major international festival. But generally, we encourage, go for the top ones first, and then come back to NZFC the second year. It's frustrating for the crew. It's frustrating for other people in your community that you make the film with and for, because they don't get to see it for the best part of a year or maybe even a year and a half. But that tends to be better as a calling card.
Okay, even with, sorry, and then I'll shut up, but even with Kiwi-focused content and Show Me Shorts being Oscar qualifying, you would still say go for international first and then circle back?
Depends what your agenda is, but absolutely for career progression. If you get into Berlin, Venice, Cannes, Toronto, Sundance, South by Southwest, it opens other doors. Okay. Programmers for those festivals are at a lot of other festivals, and also the word gets round.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
It's not the journey for every short. Cool. Hopefully that's useful. Okay, on to who's got the next question?
I'm curious to just understand, what sort of support is out there for producers. I'm working on our first feature film. We've just completed our first round of early development funding.
Great.
Plan is then to look at some further EDF, but you know, like I'm recognizing the difference between producing a short and producing a feature film. Is markedly different, obviously. So I'd be really interested to hear more about how you set up, sort of mentor relationships, particularly, like I work as well. I have a day job. How does that sort of look for somebody based in this part of the country?
Yeah. So under the on-the-job development area, we've got individual grants. So generally it's up to about $10,000 for a set amount of weeks. And some of that can go to the mentee or the mentor, if it's a project-based one, so some mentorships or attachments can be around a production, so around a film or a TV production, and the producer can, the mentee producer, I guess, can get paid for X amount of weeks to work on that production with that producer and that team. So that's production ones. Other ones are in production companies itself across a slate of work. And other times it's an individual one-to-one mentorship. And that can come in all sorts of ways. So it could be yourself approaching us and saying, this is the level I'm at, this is what I'm looking for as an opportunity. You sit with Jude, she'll go through, she's got a little questionnaire that she goes through with you to get a sense of the work that you're working on and the type of match that you're looking for. And then from our resources and maybe other, you might have producers in mind that you're really inspired by, she can then reach out and try and make that connection and team you up. And then there's an agreement between the two parties of how long it's going to last. Sometimes it's online, sometimes it's in person, depending on where you are and where the two people are. So that's how bespoke it can be. It's a real one-to-one kind of matching process. On average, we probably do that about 40 or 50 times a year for 40 or 50 different people, depending on our budget, which we're trying to sign off at the moment for the next financial year. And as I said, sometimes there's a certain focus on it. It might be female producers, it might be Māori producers, it might be regionally specific. So how do we grow talent in the regions? We have a different focus at different stages, depending on the intel we're getting from what's needed. So that's kind of the one-to-one support we have. The other area, as Jude, I think, just mentioned recently, she was on the workshop over the weekend that WIFT ran for emerging producers, and that's part of our strategic training funding that WIFT came in for a program to support producers, and so that's more kind of training-based support for producers. So we normally have at least maybe 2 or 3 different versions of that a year, either run by Sparta and WIFT or someone else. Ngā Aho Whakaari, the Māori Screen Guild, have run it before. The Pan Asian Screen Collective have run it for Asian talent recently in terms of writer-director support. So there's a number of different programs that run throughout the year that the guilds and industry organisations might deliver that we or NZ On Air might fund. So the best way to be aware of these is obviously sign up to our newsletter so you're aware of any kind of official call-outs. But also this connection with the talent team is really important. Getting in touch with us, letting us know what you're looking for. We can be really open and honest to say, well, look, there's nothing I can see coming up in the next 3 to 6 months, or maybe you're not quite at the right level yet, but if you're at this level, then we've got this opportunity. So that's what Jude kind of spends her days doing. So yeah, definitely connecting with us is really important. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you.
No problems. And recognising that the transition from shorts to features is one of the big areas that we are constantly talking about from a producer and a writer-director perspective. And on first features, for writer-directors, we've started to try and put more wraparound support for that director. So whether there's a directing mentor, whether there's we give a talent grant that Ange looks after for the director just to spend time with their cinematographer or their designers outside of the production budget, in the pre kind of stages, so they can really hone in on their directorial voice and vision. And in the producer space, often it's mentor producers, it's an EP or even a producer alongside them for that first feature, supporting them in that space, because we recognise that step is huge for people.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I did a Share the Knowledge course just a couple of weekends ago, which was just really helpful to get a good understanding around some specific language and specific requirements, particularly for film commission deliveries. So yeah, it's just gathering all that information, I suppose, but the idea of having somebody to work with as a mentor sounds incredible. Yeah,
absolutely. It's certainly unique. you know, the NZ on Air, for example, don't have, I was talking to Cam Harlan this morning at another hui, and just talking about, they don't have, in their Government Act, they don't have a clause like we do. We have, one of our parts of our Government Act is for the cohesion, I think, and the sustainable growth or development of the sector. So that enables us to do stuff like this, whereas actually NZ on Air don't have that. Their main purpose of their Government Act at the moment is for the creation of content, New Zealand content, and it's for audiences. So that's how we can have a department like this, and they can really only just put little bits in depending on what the content is that's coming through. Any other questions?
I have a question, Dale.
Stefan, lovely to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. So scenario, there's an opportunity coming up for a buffer line attachment to a specific project. Mm-hmm. What's sort of the timeline between that person who gets the opportunity contacting you to potentially receiving the funding and starting the project? What's sort of the lead up time, roughly?
So the lead up time for us finding out about it can vary. It can be quite last minute, all the way through to we know about it, you know, on the horizon, and we're really aware of it. And that varies between international and domestic, depending on, we're aware of projects quite early, but opportunities, it can sometimes randomly just arise. In terms of our turnaround for doing it, we can turn it around within a day, basically, or within a couple of days, because we have the funding available financial year, July to June every year, and up to a certain amount of money, you know, so certainly the $10,000 or the $12,000 grant or whatever is available, it doesn't need to go through any board approvals, so it can be turned around within a few days. Yeah.
Okay, so that's awesome. Thanks. Yep.
Cool. Any other specific questions? I thought someone was going to ask, Elinor, actually, you mentioned Film Otago Southland and the fact that you're going for a short film grant. I believe, I don't know if it's still the same, but if you get their grant, you can't match it with our grant, which I think is a bit frustrating. I don't know if that's still the same case, but...
yes, it is. That's correct.
Yeah, and so, you know, that's
we've
for you.
tried that. Yeah.
And there's sorry?
I was just saying, yeah, Stefan said we tried that, and I said, so did we, with a laugh.
And that's something we should, you know, I'm happy to revisit with the team down there, because I do think you got a good little option there where you could take, you know, is it 10 or 15 grand from them and then another 15 from us if you went for a fresh, and you've pretty much got your budget of 25, which is, I think, what you kind of need with a short at the moment. So it'd be good to revisit that. I think there were just requirements around where the funding was coming from and the rights and all that kind of stuff. We don't hold the rights to any films, like the filmmakers hold 100% of the rights with short films. So we wouldn't have an issue with that. I think where it might conflict is if Film Otago Southland, Short Film Otago Southland hold the rights, then I don't think we are comfortable with that, but I could check that out. So that is something I could look at. But what I was going to go on to say was I'm interested in what we can do more on the ground within the wider region in terms of talent development. We're aware that a lot of the programs, certainly a lot of the guilds and industry orgs, are Auckland or Wellington based. We've engaged quite successfully, I would say, up until COVID, on the ground with like newer regions that had, or newer film offices like Bay of Plenty. They engaged with us quite a bit a few years ago, and we hosted a few events and delivered a few programs in conjunction with them. We have obviously been around the country a number of times, certainly as a talent team, doing road shows. And this year we've supported the 48 hours, obviously the short film competition, for a series of talent development workshops and events and things around the country to try and develop the talent locally a bit more around the motu, just because they are recognising there's a difference in the not the ideas or the concepts or anything, or the voices, but actually the realization of the content coming through maybe Auckland and Wellington versus other cities and regions around the country. So they want to get out there and try and encourage people's story development workshops and things like that. And we're going to join them on that. So I'm coming to Dunedin, coming to Christchurch, going to, I think, 3 or 4 places around the North Island that aren't Auckland and Wellington, you know, to try and encourage people to get involved in the competition, but also to have a Q&A with a director, to do a workshop on writing, you know, and then have a networking event. So if there are opportunities, certainly from a film office perspective or this collective perspective, to host us at some point, we're more than happy to come down and do, you know, a story development workshop or you know, whatever might be useful, or just bring people together and meet and greet. More than happy to join the group and do that, if we can get a group together. And obviously there's a good group here, so you've got the great start of it. So just to say that as well, put that into your thinking caps going forward.
Thanks, Dale. That's really helpful. And just to clarify, so Short Film Otago, we're Film Otago Southland, but Short Film Otago is separate to us, so we don't provide any funding to Short Film Otago. And I don't know where that requirement, where that not being able to double dip, I'm not sure if that's on their side or on, but maybe if some discussion can be had about that, that would be good. And then, thank you so much for the offer. I think probably like Q&As like this are really great and road shows are great, but I guess these sorts of things can be done virtually, which is good, but the more development focused workshops, that sort of thing is so useful to do in person. I know Dunedin, you know, and we went around the table, the virtual table, and talked about where everyone's based. And I think traditionally Dunedin has had or been seen to have, you know, a really great creative hub of writers and those sorts of creative roles. And Queenstown, I think people think was more focused on the crew and the technical roles, but which, you know, we still have that, but more people are coming out of the woodwork all across the region. We've got, you know, even Invercargill represented as well, and Oamaru. So being able to run physical events all across the region, I think would be really useful, and like a story development or something like that, I think would be great. So would love to talk more about that. That's the sort of thing that we could also help. That's the sort of thing we can find financial support for and help with the logistics and all that kind of thing. But partnership is great, because as a film office, we don't necessarily have the knowledge to run them ourselves, but you guys do. So partnership and collaboration is definitely the best way for us to approach that.
That sounds great. And we did it, certainly Jude and I did it maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. We certainly pre-COVID, but it was probably a year or 2 before COVID, we'd finished doing one of them. And it was a mix of a half-day story workshop. It was around short films, so it was story development for shorts. And then it was a kind of half-day application process for the funds that we had. So demystifying that, breaking that down, you know, highlighting what panels are looking for, and, you know, what the key areas of that kind of application process is. Happy to look at that model again. And send a couple of people out on the road again. It'd be great. And there's absolutely, there's no reason why we can't do that, and in multiple different areas, you know, over a few days. So
that would be awesome. And then something else we've started to do, Film Otago Southland, is we can offer travel assistance as well. So if we weren't able to cover off all four of the hubs in one visit, we could offer help with travel and accommodation costs for if someone, you know, if we do one in Invercargill and someone wants to be able to go visit there or vice versa, then we can help with the associated cost of that, so that even if something isn't being held in your actual town, that doesn't make it inaccessible for you, and we can help support that. Because we've got people all over the place, which is great, but then it's, when it comes to in-person events, you know, you can get everywhere within a 4-hour drive, but that still has its associated costs with it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So I'm aware it's 2:30. Is it 2:30? Are there any other burning questions you'd like to know?
I got one. Is there anyone from Short Film Otago? I was just wondering about Short Film Otago. Is there anyone here today connected to that organisation?
So like I said, we're not, it's Al. Is it still Al who's as far as everyone knows, so I think, Maddie, is he on the invite list for this group?
Not sure. No,
Tom Koika is the head of the panel now, Tom Koika.
Okay, so it might be worth, it might be worth re-establishing. The last person I'd spoken to regarding Short Film Otago is Al, so it might be worth re-establishing that connection if it's changed and potentially getting someone into a future meeting.
Yeah, maybe I could give contact Tom and ask him if he'd like to attend a meeting, because there's obviously a few questions around Short Film Otago and what they can and can't offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be good, because I've got no idea what's on their slate, what projects, what stage they're in. I mean, it's for us submitting submissions, like just heard today that, they're having a board meeting next Wednesday. They close their submissions on the 4th of February. They didn't have an functioning email for most of last year and hadn't updated their site since 2019. Just coming to Dunedin, just being here short term, I've never come across a film funding body has such a lack of a transparency.
I think they're all volunteers, and they do their best, but I think they've had a few people come and go, which may explain the lack of communication.
And also, so on that, just also, we fund the guilds and industry organisations. So we have a core grant for a number of guilds, the Writers Guild, Producers, Directors and Editors Guild, and then some of the inclusion-based guilds, I guess, the Pan Asian Screen Collective, PISA, Women in TV and Film, and then Script to Screen get some strategic training funding and other support. And so those organisations are supported for the betterment of the industry. And so I say this all the time, but just to reiterate that they should be delivering things in your region because they are a nationwide organisation. Now, they may not have many members in your region, they may do, but if they don't, then there's a question of, are they delivering a service that's valuable to you? So I just think there is a conversation to be had there, that maybe this collective, through your chair, Maddie, or someone maybe wants to reach out to them and say, okay, well, can we find out what's happening in the next 12 months, in the wider region? We're interested in what your footprint is here, online or in person, because all of our funding agreements, all of our funding applications now, and have done for the last few years, make it very clear, and certainly since COVID, are you offering something online? Are you offering it in person? Is it outside Auckland or Wellington? There's actually a scoring system in that, and if you're not, then you're not scoring as much. Now, that's not to say they're not going to get through, but actually it kind of puts them a little bit on notice to us to say, well, hang on, why aren't you offering something even online to people outside of those regions if you can't do it in person? The argument back in the day was it was too expensive for them to get out of Auckland and come down south, and when they did, people didn't turn up. That wasn't my experience when we did things. I mean, at times, the numbers were smaller, but there was always a good core group of people. So, it goes both ways. You've got to turn up, I guess, if people do these things, but they've also got to be valuable to you. So I would just encourage you as a group of people working in the sector at all sorts of levels to reach out to those organisations and either give them some solutions of what they can deliver for you if they're not coming up with them themselves, because they are funded to do it.
I agree with that, Dale, and I think that's where we can help bridge. I don't know if this is like double dipping, I suppose, is allowed, but like I said, we can help cover some of the costs if it gives a bit of an assurance to an organisation if that hasn't done something in the region before. We did it with a Script to Screen workshop that came down to Queenstown, and I know they were really excited to come here, but they were a little bit nervous because they hadn't done an event in Queenstown before. They weren't actually sure if they were going to get a great turnout, and so we helped to cover some of the costs of it. And then they did actually get a really fantastic turnout, and I think they want to come back again. So we're able to provide a little bit of financial support if they're almost testing the waters as such and almost giving something a trial in a certain region that they haven't been to before, then we can help with that. And hopefully they'll get the turnout that they need and come back again.
I've had a couple of conversations with Patricia at WIFT, and she was definitely interested in encouraging membership from down here, and if it could be sorted to have an event down here. But even I've gone up to a few of the Christchurch events, and yes, numbers have varied a bit, but they definitely hold quite a few Christchurch events, which is good. But to get them down here would be great.
It would be great, absolutely.
And speaking from, this is just from personal experience, but if we can encourage hybrid going forward,
yeah,
leveled the playing field for emerging creatives, it's been fantastic. I've seen so many people coming up at, you know, AFM, EFM, CAN, who never would have been able to afford the plane flights and the hotels, and suddenly they're making deals with producers and chatting to each other, and it's just been spectacular. So if we can, a blend of in-person and online, that's going to help everyone.
And I absolutely agree. I think before COVID, there was a lot of pushback saying, no, we can't do it. Oh, we're going to compromise our ticket sales for Big Screen Symposium, for example, or other big events, Sparta. I think post-COVID, I think you'll find that there'll be a lot more openness to this, hopefully. Because we've proved we can do it. You know, some events don't work as well online, of course, but even just access to some aspects of it really, really helpful.
Yeah, sorry, then I'll shut up again. But one of the most effective things I've been on is the matchmaking. So they'll, you know, this is a group of, I just went on one with my producer, you know, emerging producer, emerging screenwriter, meet the co-production partners that you might want to work with. And that's been incredibly helpful because you kind of don't have to do the, you know, 7 degrees of separation networking. You can just go straight to the person you're trying to get to talk to.
I just remembered somebody, Sue Marshall is a member of the group. She wasn't able to make it today, but she sent me through a question that she wanted me to ask. So she's been speaking lately about a regional film festival, and she's asked what support is there for a southern, I think by that she might mean Otago and Southland, or she might be talking about encompassing all of the South Island. But what support is there for a Southern Film Festival? And if so, is there an avenue for funding directly from the Film Commission to investigate?
It's a very good question. Probably not the best person to answer it, although I'm aware of what we've done in the past. So we support NZIFF, and we've supported Doc Edge as kind of nationwide festivals, I guess. And it comes under our marketing department, so Jasmine McSweeney's department, and it sits under there. Over the years, they have been the main 2 festivals that we've found support for, and the criteria is that it is nationwide, so it's not regionally specific, it's not just in one space. And actually, Show Me Shorts fell foul of that in a way, because they were nationwide, but actually they were only short films, and it didn't quite meet the criteria. So I think that criteria has changed over the years a little bit, and at times they have managed to get some support. And we've certainly sponsored awards through the talent department of all of those festivals to, a new filmmaker award or those kind of things, where we can give some money to a festival. But the actual festival itself, we are approached every year for loads of festivals, and they don't have much money in that area. So I do know that it's probably under review at the moment. I think Jazz had talked about looking at it going forward, what the plans in the festival space would be. But that is the criteria at the moment. It has to be nationwide. So it wouldn't be eligible under the current criteria.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I guess there's 2 approaches. It could be trying for us to get more branches of national film festivals showing in our regions. But I think, where Sue was coming from, it was a festival solely dedicated to work created in our region, potentially. Yeah, it could be a mix of both. It could be that if there was, I need to get more clarity on that. But
I mean, certainly from a talent profile point of view, a talent awareness and promotion, it might fit within our broader kind of overarching aims of supporting talent through the talent development department, of maybe helping sponsor an award or the event or something like that. But if it's just a festival, then it would have to come under the festival fund, I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, always happy to have a chat. And I know for 1 year, Jazz managed to support the youth festival. I think it's called Square Eyes, which is part of NZIFF. But because it was part of that broader nationwide festival, she managed to find a little bit of budget. That was about 6, 7 years ago, but hadn't been able to do that since.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I can pass that back along.
Anything else? Any other burning questions people have got?
Is there any way we can help you?
That's a good question. I guess certainly from a regional, wider regional perspective, it'd be good to know what the needs are. Where it worked well with the Bay of Plenty was when Anton kind of came back and said he'd done a skills assessment or a skills audit. And these were kind of key areas for them. One was kind of creative producers. It'd be great to do something in that space. One was, the writer-director space, like making that kind of first short, so entry level. I can't remember the other one. Obviously, the one's always transitioned from shorts to features. So he kind of gave us kind of 3 or 4 little buckets, and we went, oh, well, maybe we could help support this year. And we managed to do some work with others, with other partners. We didn't deliver it ourselves. We just funded it. So maybe that kind of idea of what are kind of some key areas across the region that you think might be really useful in terms of the talent development of the talent in the region, and where they're at. The other thing that's really useful is if you on the ground learn about productions that are happening that are outside of our awareness and there's an opportunity on them. So you're working on it and you're actually aware that actually within that production team there's a real appetite for helping support the next generation of people coming through, getting in touch, letting us know. And it might not be something we're funding at all, but actually we might be able to offer an opportunity within that and finance someone getting a foot in the door. So anything like that you're aware of could be useful as well.
I heard Taika and Janine were scouting for Time Bandits. Did you hear about that?
No. Didn't know they were going down there. There you go. There's an opportunity. Great. Bring it on.
Okay, great.
I was just going to say, I think a few years ago there was some back-to-back productions as well, actually, obviously, and into COVID actually, and that was really useful for us as well. When you've got an international show, you've got a domestic couple of TV shows, and then you've got another maybe domestic feature film, all within kind of weeks of each other or months of each other. It's quite useful because you can get some connectivity of people going from show to show, or you can create some kind of apprenticeships that lead into each other. So we're always looking for those opportunities as well. So we're not looking just for that one-off opportunity. It's like, how can we get someone onto the next one as well within the finite amount of money we've got? So keeping an eye out for that is always good.
Do you ever do any work with high schools or, very, very early?
We don't tend to. We tend to be in the new talent for us is kind of, I guess, 2-3 years into the industry, like that kind of entry level is probably high school or university into getting into the sector. We're not, I go and talk to people in those spaces and certainly work with the media teachers and things like that in terms of informing them. But yeah, we're not really in the education space as such.
Okay.
I'll just speak to that. I think I'd mentioned to you in the past, Dale, about working with high schools, and we've actually just come off 2 weeks of working in our 4 regional high schools on a microfilm competition involving the New Zealand Police and Safer or Stronger Waitaki, and I think Dan came up and helped with us in East Otago at Palmerston. But yeah, I realise it's they're very much at a emerging, some really interesting creative ideas coming through from them, but it's a case of bringing them forward into the other possibilities like the Outlook for Someday or 48 Hours in order for them to get further.
There is a big gap there that I certainly talked to the ministries about, and I was just at a workforce development meeting this morning around the skills and crew base in New Zealand and how we support the development of it. It's not our area at all, but actually we need to be feeding in the information. But equally in the education space, we need to really join the dots between primary and high school into the industry, into tertiary or industry, because if you look at the UK model, now, yes, it's very different, but actually the BFI have a remit from cradle to grave, basically. And so they do have a lot of education resources. They do have a lot of connections with archive and education and industry that cross over in that space, that we don't have that remit. So, but as a nation, we need to look at that and try and work out what we're going to do in that space, because there's some massive gaps that are really not being fulfilled at all. So it's great to hear you doing that, Maddie. That's brilliant. The more we hear about that, the better, yeah.
Yeah, and some schools it's totally down to if they've got an interested teacher as to whether they get any film from work at all, which is crazy in this day and age that they're not expressing themselves that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm aware we've gone over, so apologies for that. We talk too much. But really thank you all for coming, and I hope we've answered all your questions. If you have anything else, you can obviously message us.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. And we might do a quick wrap up of any updates. Perhaps from Kahli's will be in the hot seat for a few areas. But whether you want to stick around for our updates.
I'm going to need to go because I have to start reading now.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. Take care.
Thanks so much, Dale.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you very much, Dale. Thank you, Shan.
Thank you.
So, Kahli, do you have any updates for us from the film offices?
I'm trying to think of when we last met, so what's happened since then. So kind of relevant to what we were just talking about. So we'd sent out an RFP, I think it might have been after the last meeting. We sent out an RFP for our creative development, what we're calling our creative development research project. But just that discussion then really helped me to join the dots between what we're aiming to do and what Dale was just speaking about. So we've talked about this before. It's that money that was received from the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, which I believe this group or members of this group helped with that application, which is going to go towards a research piece. We're going to contract 2 researchers to, basically research what the current state of play and the current landscape is for creative development opportunities and talent in the region and what's needed, which is essentially what we were just talking about. I didn't really articulate there's a skills gap, but that is kind of what we're talking about. What is it that creatives in the region need? What aren't they getting? And what are some potential avenues to bridge that gap? So the first phase that we're contracting the researchers for will just be for that investigation. And then they'll, I think they'll kind of give some recommendations for an implementation plan. And then the next phase of that work will be to figure out how to actually implement those recommendations. Some of that might sit with the film office, other elements of it might sit elsewhere, but essentially it's addressing that gap that we've just discussed and getting someone to dig into it for us. So Anthony was collating the applications for that, and then he's been unwell, so that has been put on a slight pause, but we did receive, from what I saw, definitely received enough quality applications to select 2 contractors for the project. So that will be the next step for that. There's also, so that's sort of focused on, people like yourselves, writers, producers, directors, and what are your barriers at the moment, essentially, to being able to have sustainable careers in the region and for us to have a sustainable pipeline of regional content. So that addresses that. And then separate to that, we actually did get funding from the Film Commission for a workforce development project, which is focused on running some training for 5 technical crew skills, which is lighting, grip, production, locations, and sound. And again, that's a project that Anthony is managing, but we've got 2 industry contractors on board helping out with that, and they're working with SIT on the delivery. Don't think details of when those workshops are going to be running and what they're going to look like have been released yet. That's all underway and should have more information about that soon. What else are we working on that would be relevant for this group? Our writers residency has, the physical part of that is finished. So the writers have been and gone from the region. They had a really great time being based here and kind of solidified how inspiring the region is for writers. A couple of them want to move here, whether or not they, it's all well and good to say that in theory, but harder in practice, as everyone who lives here and is trying to pursue a creative career understands. But I mean, I know we want to nurture the talent that is here, but getting talent from outside working here and creating content here, I think will, in the long run, benefit the careers of those that are based here in terms of having opportunities for you, work on more projects, mentorship opportunities, that kind of thing. So, it all kind of ties together. I liked how, was it Jude that said it's all more of a web rather than a line with the way the industry works. So, we don't have any updates as to whether any of those projects are going to be selected for actually be optioned by Great Southern yet, but when there's when there's news about that, that will be shared too. And I think that's most of the key updates from me from what's relevant to this group. We've got a few little issues happening with location access, so access to locations, and processes for permits and things like that. But I know that's not necessarily the side of the industry that you tend to deal with. So, but yeah, just in terms of what I'm focused on and working on at the moment, also trying to streamline those processes and make things as easy as possible so we can attract more work here and make it easy for everyone. Yeah, does anyone have any questions?
I've got one little question. It's cool that there's grips and gaffs workshops. That's awesome. Will there be like for soundies? Doesn't seem like there's many sound recorders in Dunedin at all.
Not in the whole region, not even over this way. Yeah, it's a big gap.
It's just so, yeah. So would there be some workshops for that kind of specialist skill, perhaps?
So sound's one of the 5 that we're focused on. I think the tricky part with that will actually be getting, because obviously to run the workshops, you need experienced people in those departments to run the workshops. So, and I think first and foremost, we're going to look for people who are based in the region to do the teaching when that's an option, but when there isn't, we may need to bring people from outside, because at the end of the day, we do want, the best trainers to be able to train in the crew. So I think that will be the hard part, is seeing who we might need to get someone from outside the region for the sound workshops. But yeah, that's all being discussed, because I think there's like a retired guy here over this way who sometimes does work. A woman was in touch the other day who's normally based here, but she has been working overseas, sort of like chicken or egg. She's been working overseas because she wasn't getting enough work here, but then she was one of our only sound people. So she said she might be heading back soon, which would be good. But yeah, hopefully the workshops will help to address that gap.
Is Hammond Peak still based down your way?
That doesn't sound familiar. That name doesn't sound familiar. What's the full name?
He's Christchurch based.
Okay.
Yeah, Hammond Peak. Yeah. If you need my best mate's a guy called Corin Ellingford, and he's senior sound on things like Avatar and things like that. And I mean, he's Auckland based, but he's done everything. So if you do need anything, I'm sure. Yeah, I can sing out.
Awesome! Thank you.
And, my ex-father-in-law is also a old school sound recordist. Like he's done Xena, Hercules, all that sort of stuff. He's retired, but if you seriously, if you do need any contacts and names, sing out.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, someone who's retired might love the idea of teaching. They might not want to get out on set anymore, but might like the idea of teaching up, training up.
Totally.
Newbies, so
he had his own recording. In fact, he recorded Poirier. He was at his own sound studio. So he's just, now that he can't go to France all the time and sail around in his bateau on the rivers because of COVID, he's just got spare time. So
awesome, great to know. Thank you. Yeah, we'll follow that up.
There's also a guy that I was in touch with for something that I was crewing out of Auckland a little while ago. I don't know if anybody knows him. His name is Phil Donovan, and he's a soundy who was moving to Dunedin. So I might get in touch with him and see if he can get in touch with you guys, Kahli.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I think that's it from me, unless anyone has any other questions.
Maybe a remark, Kahli. So the idea of bringing down the talent development team, I think is great. I've attended the one they did about 4 years ago. But what I find is those kinds of events usually tend to be either story development or general sort of development. And I think what would be really useful, because if you go to all the effort of having face-to-face meetings and all the associated costs, in my opinion, would be one-on-one sessions for career pathways. So you literally sit down with a team as either the, director, producer team, or the writer, director, producer team, and talk to them about your individual pathway forward. So
that's really good feedback.
Let's say, you would book in an hour-long one-on-one session. Because of course, we can talk to them online, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, I agree, Stefan. That would be amazing.
Yeah, no, it's I think we need to take advantage of them having that. I think that the last one must have been just for my time, because I don't remember there being one.
It was.
I went to it too, and it was great. But like we know how to write stories down here. We have great stories down here, but getting us in touch with the right people. And like I've gone through the fresh shorts with the story, and then they turned around and said to me at the weekend workshop in Hutt Valley that, hey, we love your story, but your director and your producer aren't good enough for us to give you funding. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that before I had to come up here and spend an awful 2 days doing this whole process? If you don't, and like now we've got better producers down here, but it's about actually forging those ties with the right people. That is the problem. And like maybe it's something we need to do like that, something as a group, do it a little bit better ourselves somehow down here. Maddie, Kahli, I'll leave that one with you.
Thanks, Karen.
I think that's something that we could that we could try to set up is again that the research is sort of ideally will come out of that with a list of what the challenges are, because anecdotally we know them, but then when we try to talk to our funders and our managers, it's just like, someone just told me this. So when we can have an actual like robust report, that will help us with that. But in the meantime, I think the talent development team have said that they're happy to come down here and run some sort of event, and if that's the kind of event that would be most useful for everyone. And I know what you mean, the story development stuff. Yes, like you said, the stories are already strong, and then there are already lots of other opportunities to tune in online or to go to other events where it's in a group setting, and you can have that kind of those kinds of development opportunities. But the one-on-ones, that's something that's missing.
Yeah, I also think it might help to increase attendance.
And some people aren't as comfortable speaking up in a group situation, and you don't necessarily want to take a whole group's time with a question that's very specific to your career. So it actually may be the best use of time for everyone if it was hour slots or something like that. So that's definitely something we can propose to the team, and have it hopefully in a number of different locations as well, so that people from around the region are able to attend.
Sorry, and if anyone wants feedback on the one I did in the UK, that matchmaking, like match up emerging producers with co-production or anything like that, I can give you feedback on what worked and what didn't. But it felt like a much more targeted, networking time.
Awesome. Oh, just adding it to my list. Cool.
Right. Okay, thanks, Elinor. Lots of great contributions. Okay. So that's probably all from Kahli, I guess. So anything that our members would like to share, projects or news, anything, or any questions for anyone else that's here?
I'll just say it's really great to be able to join you guys. I usually can't because I work till 2:30, and then I have to pick up kids from school most days. Obviously not today because we're isolating, but so apologies for not being a part of this sooner, but it's great to have been able to jump on board today, even though it's because of COVID.
Right, thanks, Tess. It's been good having you here.
I'd like to say thanks for welcoming me in, or for having me here. So I'm kind of new. I'll be new to the area pretty soon, and so I guess I'm just gonna be basing myself out of Oamaru from now on. I've had quite a bit of experience in production and film. If anyone needs anything from me, once again, I'm really, really keen on building a community down there. So sing out. No question, too stupid. because I will give you stupid answers probably. But yeah, I've sort of been through all types of funding, from fresh shorts through to features. I produced 3 films. I've sort of and quite a few short films, things like that. So and I'm still realizing I don't know anything. So yeah. And I'm sort of in the late stages of making a feature film at the moment, developing a feature film, and in the early stages of developing a network TV show. So yeah, I'm really happy just to share anything I'm learning, but also I would really like to sort of set up a bit of a group for sharing, scripts and things like that, and actually talking about stuff, because I find that I've got a really good network in Wellington, and I had one in Auckland, where we just sit around and read each other's scripts, and any feedback's good feedback. So those writers groups I find invaluable. So yeah, if anyone's up for that, let me know. Yep.
Great, thanks, Andrew. It's really good to have you here.
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. And I'm in Arrowtown at the moment, but I'm also LinkedIn and Twitter, and I do really try to support people's projects. So if you post on LinkedIn, I'm doing this feature, it's just coming out, I will share, everywhere. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, let me know. I have some connections to the UK now, and I have some connections to the US. So if anybody is looking at international, just needs international intel, I'm here for that. And yeah, I'd love to help and contribute, and anything anything that people need.
Thanks, Elinor. Cool. All right.
Cool. If anyone's got or knows any writers that got like 2 to 3 minutes scripts or scenes, it's scenes that they may want to workshop or put in a room with some actors, or they may want to come into the room and play around with their scene, please send them on. That'd be great. They'll get a lot out of it. I've done it before in Sydney and Brisbane, and it's great to see when the writing gets developed and goes on to be produced properly. But as far as a workshop scenario, as a creative development, it can be very valuable process for anyone that's interested in that. That'd be cool. I was just going to say, like workshops are great when they come in to the area, but once you've given the people the specialist skills, I just think it's really important that is supported and nurtured, so that they can have a community together and become sustainable. Otherwise, you just see it a lot where a workshop comes in, everyone gets really excited, then there's just nothing stays because of that workshop, and it dies out again. But that's just my little thoughts on that. But thank you.
Great, thanks, Dan. Okay, great. So I'm just looking at, unless anybody else has anything they want to share or ask. No, all good. The next meeting date, if we go for 2 months, will be Monday, the 25th of July. Now, I will sadly be away in Thailand then, and may or may not be able to attend, which could be possible. I'd leave it as an open meeting and people could run it on that day, or we could run it earlier in July, so have it a little bit sooner, which would need to be about probably the 11th. What's that there? Have I got something in my calendar then? Oh, flight to Dunedin. All right, I'll be flying back from Auckland that day. So maybe not Monday the 11th. So I don't know whether people want to just go with our normal date or bump it to a Tuesday. Any thoughts from other attendees?
It might be a little bit tricky for me during the day at the moment, just going forward. Yeah, but if it's a Monday, I guess it might be kind of slightly easier. But yeah, I think my days are going to start getting kind of full in the short term. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot expected of me in this cafe that I've never had any experience with. So yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm doing. Thank God I'm with someone that does. But yeah, I will absolutely try my best. But yeah, once again, very keen to be part of the community. So. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, maybe I'll send out a couple of options for dates and times. Yeah, we'll either go ahead with the normal date or come up with another option and get people to feedback on when suits them. Does that work?
Yeah, yep. Maddie, just if the best date is when you're away, then I can help the conversation flow. I mean, we want this group to be kind of led by you guys, for you guys and girls. Yes. Sorry, I need to stop saying guys. But if it helped for me to be there just to have someone to do the introductions and send out the meeting invites for this, I can't do it all the time, but just for this once while you're away, if that was helpful, then I'm happy to do that.
Yes. Or somebody else could put their hand up as well too. That's always possible. So yeah. But no, appreciate that, Kahli. Thank you.
No worries.
All right. So I knew we'd go a little bit longer. I was hoping we'd keep it in under 2 hours with the Film Commission here. So yeah, great. Thank you everyone for all your involvement today. It's been a really good meeting, and I hope we'll get a great event for Dale and the team to come down to later in the year as a result of this touch base. It's been good.
Yeah, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. It really has. Actually, I was thinking while they were talking, what if just NZIFF has a winter, Queenstown offshoot, still part of the NZIFF, but just...
I wanted to reach out to them this year because we don't show NZIFF in Queenstown, but then I read that they were actually removing some towns from their schedule this year. So I didn't think it was the best time to ask to say, hey, what about you add a location to your schedule? Because it looked like they were cutting them back, maybe because they weren't sure what the COVID situation was going to be at the time. But yeah, would love to get, because there's other film festivals that Dorothy Brown's put on and things like that. So I'm not quite sure why we've never had a branch of the NZIFF here, or at least not since I've been here.
Yeah, well, if it dovetailed with some other winter event, then you could always sell it, as you're going to get a lot of foot traffic in if you do this.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and I'll get the recording out. I'll pop it up on Slack. But if you specifically want to see it and for some reason can't access Slack, do let me know, and I'll figure out another way to share it as well. But it's nice and easy to put it up on there, and yeah, I'll send out with the minutes. I'll send out the link to Slack to join for those that haven't. All right, great.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maddie.
Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Same, likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.